Hi everybody, my name is Joseph Vasquez. I'm a Housing Specialist 1 with the Department of Housing, and I will be talking with you today on how to document your CDBG project proudly with PowerPoint as well as mentions of video. So we'll also provide some examples of that. So why this matters is, we want to go over the state's requirement for a recap during your closeout process. So that this is a requirement by the state of Connecticut for basically a brag book for your project. We want to get a recap of your project documented as a way to understand the work that was done before, during, and after your grant. So that comes with a lot that we'll talk about today, but we'll just go into the overview, what this looks like, what we're sort of looking for, and creating a pathway for you to be set up for success. So just about this project, you'd provide a 2 to 3 sentence overview of the project, what was done, who it serves, why it matters. So you want to emphasize here specifically the national objective you met, if it was for LMI benefit, slum and blight elimination, or urgent need. You can put in just a general snapshot of your project. Who were the beneficiaries? Was it person served? Were you doing housing rehab? Was there something where jobs were created? You can go in here and put in the exact address, the activity type, grant amount, your project period, as well as the grantee name. So this is where I would start here.
Hi, my name's Madison Staba, and I'm a Connecticut careers trainee, and I'll be going over the video analytics part of this section. Here is a brief example of New Horizons, one of DOH's previous projects.
Imagine many people sitting in wheelchairs here, just dreaming about a life that nobody could envision. This pavilion is my favorite spot on campus. When I sit here, I think of the young people that had a dream to live a life that we all take for granted. New Horizons is a dynamic community that's home to 101 individuals with physical disabilities. We have our VCA office. It's a 24/7 operation. We have what we call our village care attendants on duty at all times. Lastly, we have a health services office, which is a resource and informational office. Those are the things that make us different than just a standalone building located in a town. We're committed to providing the services that make it a lot easier to live in a community like New Horizons Village.
This video provides a strong example of how a CDBG project should be documented because it tells the full story of the project, not just the basic facts. It explains who the project serves, why the project matters, what services are provided, and how the community benefits. This connects directly to the presentation because the goal is to show grantees how much to document their projects proudly through their clear storytelling, photos, data, and community impact.
For the before, take a second to document the conditions that were there prior to the project. So describe any physical or social conditions, if there was any unphased structures, or if there was any aging systems. If you want to emphasize on the community impact, explain how these conditions negatively have impacted the residents that are currently living in these complexes or in their surrounding neighborhood, as well as talking about why action was needed. So note any assessments, code violations, health and safety standards that would need to be documented or disclosed to the department as you're preparing your application. So it really helps to use any supporting data to help highlight the impact that you tend to create. So if there's a number of LMI residents in the service area, there's a certain number of vacancy rates, etc. So as well as just looking at an example of using metrics to highlight need. So you can go in and look at either the HUD CPD map, census tracts, or local data by the year, and just use these metrics for different versions of data visualization. Right now, it's just an example bar chart where we have different census tracts, how many people are within the census tract for LMI populations. But this is something where you can go in and talk about the average median income in the area, number of residents in the service area, conditions in this specific county. So this is just an example of just one option you can go. During the actual grant process, we want to make sure that you are maintaining a good sense of file management so that we can begin understanding your project at the beginning of its life. So this is just going to help you be able to tell your story much easier, as well as keep track of key project milestones and compliance approvals. So maintaining a clear project timeline of any major milestones, approvals, federal releases, this is all a great idea. So while you're going in during this process, creating that timeline, we'd recommend you go in, start taking those pictures, documenting, or getting good footage of your project so you can begin telling that story. This timeline is really the beginning of that storytelling that you're going to do, because you can really map out the story that you want to tell, and you can get to see that impact that it will start having on residents as these units come into construction, as the work gets done, as their rehab to their specific unit gets done. So this is great stuff for you to just keep track of, and definitely keep note of the exact month and date for specific project compliance. I would definitely use this and compare this with the closing checklist so you can get a sense of the items that you would need as you get to a project closeout. And then the during. So getting a photo during the construction and documenting the work performed for each trade or each specific section of the development is definitely a good idea. If you're looking at it from more of a community engagement section, this is a great area where you can put in the number of public meetings that were held, or the dates and locations the publics and meetings were held. Make sure you can notify any residents by mail, door hangers, websites, provide a sense of what language access was provided, and keep track of what resident complaints were received or resolved.
The doors, they are so much better than what we had before. It's just a simple touch, and it's so easy now bringing in groceries. They are so much better.
The new doors are much wider than before. It helps with navigating in and out of any area, from apartments to houses to wherever you are, basically.
Yeah, oh yeah, the new doors are much better because all we have to do is either use our fobs or punch in the code and boom, the door opens.
And a huge benefit when you've got groceries in your hands or anything. It's easier to just use your fob, have the door open automatically, and it'll shut right behind you automatically.
The kitchens are ADA compliant. We provide refrigerators, allowing the tenant to access the freezer and the refrigerator easily. Our sinks, they're at a height where they provide the ability to roll under them so that individuals are able to independently use the faucets. Our cabinets have pull-out storage bins so that there are many storage opportunities that, again, the tenant can access independently.
The height of the sink and the stovetops are very important to be able to get underneath to reach the burners and especially the faucet, not just for cleaning dishes up, but something as simple as washing our hands.
The second video is important because it shows the long-term impact of the project. The video talks about the residents having a safe place to call home and to make memories, and a place where they have more control over their lives. It also highlights the growth of New Horizons over time as they continue to expand their housing in 2024, which this video is from, and highlights the growth of accessible housing in general with all of their modifications to the kitchens, the door entryways, and this is exactly what a strong CDBG documentation should do. It should show the outcome of the project, the people impacted, and the lasting value to the community. This video is effective because it combines facts with personal meaning, which makes the project feel memorable and important.
Direct interviews from the residents. So we did provide that off to the right. You can insert a resident or a stakeholder quote, 2 to 3 sentences about the difference the project made. We'll have good examples of that within our video, so you can see direct interviews from residents that benefit from the work that has been done with the CDBG grant. But again, this is stuff that you should be looking at internally as you work with your teams and as you begin preparing future grant applications. What was the success of our last grant? What was the success of this grant? Did it hold up to what we wanted to do? And let's identify the reasons why we didn't. And then really just to wrap up on the idea of what we're looking at is just an example of the budget snapshot after. How were you in terms of the management of CDBG block grant funds? Did this hold up to what you expected? How much did you put in from a local match? What were your construction costs? Let's get a sense of what the project's costs were to date, how much were expended on what category, how much money may have been generated into program income or is left over, if any. And then as well as maybe calculating your cost per LMI beneficiary. So getting a sense of, as well as asking questions like, did the project we propose serve the intention that we wanted? Stuff we can look at is demonstrating efficient use of federal funds towards the amount of beneficiaries that we're helping. So getting a sense of the cost per LMI beneficiary is also an idea. But ultimately,
here's a quick budget snapshot of a previous Department of Housing project. We previously budgeted for around $2 million, but the actual cost was around $3.9 million.
But ultimately, you want to take the time to fully tell your story throughout this recap process, whether it be PowerPoint or whether it be video. The department is looking for a documented history of your project, and it will be collected throughout the closeout process. So start beginning to think about the areas that you would like to document, the type of formatting that you would like to go for your project highlight. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your designated CDBG project manager. We'd be happy to help, and thank you so much for working with us.
Doing a presentation or documenting the project through a video is valuable because it both tells a story of the project in a clear, meaningful way. The goal is to simply document what was done, who was served, and why the project mattered. Whether this is through slides or a video, strong documentation helps shows the project's impact, makes the work easier for residents, funders, and the community to understand. Thank you.